Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. I think that's cool, yet at the same time relatable quote when you think of the two series we're going to be talking about. So, number one, you guys are probably wondering, okay, Lucky, where have you been? It's been forever outside of me doing my live reactions to one particular series. But, life has been a series of, not upside downs, just been busy. That kind of happens on my end of things from time to time. This just happened to be the longest one on my end, as of this year, which I wasn't planning on doing. I gotta say, it feels good to actually be coming back and doing one of these. And, doing Manga Wars, specifically, you guys know the drill. I mean, 2 series, break them down evenly, 2 different authors. It's just how we go. But before we can do that, like I said, I'm LuckyRave, and as always, I can't really do these podcasts by myself. Technically, I could, but we'll phone with that because, be like every other YouTuber. So I thought, hey, let me do these kind of podcasts with a buddy, with a friend. So I brought with me some special friends and some special guests. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Well, it has been for a very long time, but yeah, we're back. I don't remember when was the last time. It was more than 2 months ago or something?
I believe it was either May or April. I'm sorry.
That is quite far away, yeah. I mean, by the time of recording, it's like already in July, so wow. But better late than never. Is I, Sparda3g, once again as a guest, and it's good to be back here. And of course, there's one more other guest that I think a lot of people are familiar with, so introduce yourself.
That's it. Hello, everyone. I'm BlueStarSaber, and sorry that I'm delaying my introduction, but then again, Lucky Chi has been delaying it for like the last 3 or 2 months.
Also, this guy is the cursed titan. So
I thought it was the cursed child.
You have upgraded. And that is not a compliment by any means.
Okay, so I'm now the cursed titan. Fine, whatever. But I'm calling you Mr.
Cursed
Delay
Titan,
from now on.
Cursed Titan.
Okay, and you're the Titan of delays.
Hey, it's not. Doesn't been that long. I'm really curious as to what particular series we're going to be debating, discussing, dissecting. You all know the ordeal. Number one, again, 2 series have to be similar, different authors. Break them down by characters, story, endings, art style, all that good jazz. So the 2 series we're going to be talking about today they're both pretty well known. One's just a little more well known than the other. Deadman Wonderland by, and I'm going to butcher this. Actually, there's 2 authors. So there's Kondo Kazuma, who does a story, and Kataka Jinsei, I believe. So it's a double person thing, kind of similar to Death Note, or in this case now with Samurai 8, Kishi and Akira. So take that for what you will. That's the gist of Deadman Wonderland, and that's essentially to my left. Now to my right, we've got a series that has sputtered with many memes. Many memes with one particular character. Rightfully so.
Well, fair enough, I've never heard of those memes.
I already know one meme, but I wonder how many memes there were created.
Yeah, right? Probably a lot. That series, for those of you who are wondering, is called Mirai Nikki, or for all you guys who are like, we just want the English title, Future Diary. Yeah, that's what it's called. By Isuno Sakae, I think? Like Sakae. I'm assuming it's Sakae. So if I butchered the name, do correct me. Because, yeah, I think. As far
which character are you talking about?
Huh?
Future Diary or Deadman Wonderland?
Future Diary.
Which character's name did you botch?
No, the author.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Author's last name, I should say.
Sake Isano? No, that's Future Diaries. Let's see, that would be
Well, you get it right.
let's see, I'm taking a look. So I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
Wait. You talk about Deadman Deadman Wonderland author or
No,
whose
not
author
that
you talking about?
Future Diary author.
Okay, let's see. Okay, fine. Let's see. Written and illustrated by Sake Isano.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are the two series we are comparing. And like that's again, there's similarities, there are differences. But for those of you who are new to Manga Wars, I just kind of pretty much explain the detail. We go synopsis, we go main character, main female, side characters, story. Technically, there's best arc, worst arc, but I don't know if that's going to work for this particular one. So that section might be omitted, at least for this one. Talk about endings, and then again, authors, artwork, writing, all that good stuff. So since I just said that, let's go ahead and get to the synopsis. And usually, for all the new time viewers out there, there's usually two people who do it. One person usually does it for one series, and the other person does it for the other series. So, I shall read the synopsis for Deadman Wonderland. After a powerful earthquake nearly destroyed all of Tokyo, a prison known as Deadman Wonderland rose from what was left of the city. Privately run through the guise of functions of a theme park, Deadman Wonderland takes in prisoners from all over Japan, using them as attractions for tourists. Little do the public know about the true purpose of this theme park and the horrors that take place within. Enter Ganta Igarashi, a middle school student who has lived a normal life since the great earthquake occurred. This all changes when a mysterious mass murderer called the Red Man appears and kills his entire class, knocking him unconscious, which consequently left him as the sole survivor. When he awakens, he is falsely convicted as the perpetrator behind the massacre, landing him a spot in Deadman Wonderland. What will become of this new inmate, whose life depends on the bizarre games that this prison holds? And just what does Shiro, Ganta's supposed childhood friend, who awaits his arrival, know about the Red Man? And that, essentially, you guys, is the synopsis for Deadman Wonderland. Very mysterious, if I do say. And now I will give it over to the Cursed Titan for Mirai Nikki.
Okay, Future Diary. Okay, let me just bring up Wikipedia page just so I can remember some of the summaries. But anyway, the series follows Yukita Amano, a 14-year-old shy, daydreaming loner. Who's by himself. Whose only friend seems to be this imaginary god called Deus Ex Machina. One day he gets his cell phone is able to predict the future, which he uses to pass tests and all that stuff. But then suddenly, just as that happens, he is being followed by a serial killer who also has a phone that can tell the future. He is saved by a popular classmate and student, Gassy, who is quite charming but has quite a bit of a session with Yukitari, even a bit of a stalker. As Yusuke Yukitari learns, he is one among 12 beings who possess phones or diaries that can tell the future, and they will be battling and killing each other to determine who will become the next god to replace Deus Machina. Yukitari, fights for his life as he must deal with 11 other future diary holders. and one and one stalker who he can't sure he quite trusts with her obsession over him. Who does he trust? Which friends will betray him? What other diary users can he work with? Let's see. In this thrilling tale, who can predict the future? Do you want me to go on more? Or is that it?
That was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Now, at some point, I feel like at some point you're going to get me in 4Life just to do the summaries and you just skip out. I feel like someday you should probably try it.
That's a good suggestion, actually.
Let's see, but yeah. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah, so those are the two summaries for both series. Both pretty interesting. Both have that little air of mystery, like, okay, where exactly is it going to go on? It's kind of got that. And like I said before, now we jump into the characters, main protagonists. Specific main male protagonists. So, again, we got Ganta Igarashi from Deadman Wonderland. And then for Future Diary, we got Yukiteru Amano. Or in this case, it's Amano, depending on how you guys want to say it. So, we got those two particular characters. And usually, how we do this is we go around in a circle, just talk about our thoughts on the characters, and just go from there. So, Blue Star.
Well, let's see. Okay, I guess I'll start with Ganto since that was the first series with those. Ganto Inashiragi, who appears also known as Woodpecker, the main protagonist of the series. Let's see, when you're first introduced to him, he seems to be just a normal, harmless, middle school boy who's just about to go on some trip with his friends, and suddenly a mass serial killer, comes in and massacres his entire classmates, resulting in him being being the only survivor, is found guilty of the murder. No way of proving his innocence, so he is sentenced to the Deadman Wonderland. So at first, he's just this timid boy, put in a prison with all these psychos. During which the only friend he seems to have at the time is Shira, but even then he's a bit freaked out by her a bit. Mistaking her from a dead friend that died, because she resembled him. And during which he is faced during the first days of his challenge, he is forced to fight death-defying games against bloodthirsty criminals, and if he loses, he loses one of the parts of his bodies, be it fingers, eyes, organs, ears, whatever. He cannot. Not to mention dealing with trying to figure out who he can trust and who he can't. For example, one of the inmates, one of the first few opponents he faces, first appears to be the shy, timid girl, but actually displays an act in order to try and to try and weaken him, in order to try and let his guard down, so that she can kill him, or so he can win the fight. So yes. In many ways, he is, a normal boy living in a, in the most fucked up prison. Sorry, I should not really use the curse word. We should try and keep it PG. The most messed up prison you could ever go to, which is also an amusement park for some weird reason. I don't know. But as he develops his more abilities for this series, which is Branch of Sin, I think it is. Or, I don't know, some blood, it's just blood abilities. The more confidence he grows, the more hopeful he gets of escaping, with various different attempts. For example, one resistance group, only for it to, each time to be, end with despair. The worst bit for him is when these new artificial, what are they called again? I'm trying to remember. Deadmen, created, that kill quite a few of the inmates, not to mention they provoke them, by revealing every, character's backstories and stuff, only to discover that one of them is his friend, which he refuses to kill, resulting in quite a few other fellow dead men dying, which results in him the hatred of every other fellow inmate in the prison, including the friends that he had built up at the time. But still his resolve to find the Red Man, and bust out the prison and save everyone, and continues as he goes, forth with another prison break plan, or I can't remember. It's been a while since I read the story, but let's see, attempt to stop the big bad at the time, the warden, who was also the reason he's in there. Let's see, eventually gaining the trust of his friends back, but only discovering that, let's see, Shiro, the mysterious girl that was his only friend at times, who he had come to love, and who was his childhood friend, also turned out to be the Red Man. Once out of prison, he now has to cope with the fact that the person he cares about the most is also, let's see, his sworn enemy. Let's see, as eventually as they go back to Deadman Wonderland, let's see, trying to stop Shiro, and let's see, and the remaining villains there, let's see, Ganta learns that, let's see, he was created, the reason he was born was to become an experiment that would become the Red Man, but due to his mother loving the child, let's see, it ended up being Shiro. Feeling with guilt, he tries to find a way to save Shiro, let's see, and seems to be in the end, manages to succeed in the end. While with, let's see, the protagonist, Yukiteru Amano, also known as Yuki, which is probably actually what I'm going to call him from now on, because it's just much easier. Another shy 14-year-old middle school student who, let's see, who starts off as just a normal guy, drawn into this crazy game of, people who can predict the futures and who are all trying to kill him. You see throughout his journey as he deals with coping with this crazy stalker girlfriend that he may have. It was diary users who try to kill him, some who appear to be his enemy, and some at first appear to be his friends, only later to turn on him. This happens with the 4th, 6th, and the daughter of the 10th diary holders. But as the series goes on, he begins to trust more Yuno, and has a stable group of friends. But tragedy strikes him as his father tries to, but not only betrays him, but kills his mother, and also gets killed himself. And in desperation, he tries to win the game in order to try and become God from Deus Machina, and try and bring back his parents and everyone else that's been killed. And just soon as closer and closer to get the goals, it gets more and more desperate, and in his pursuit of goals, even killing some of his own friends. Eventually, as it's just him and Yuno, unfortunately he learns the shocking truth that he cannot bring back his friends and families, not without some sort of conditions. And also learns that Yuno is not who she is, as she is actually from a different timeline in which they were also the last two, but Yuki himself died from a suicide plan they did, and now she just goes back in time repeatedly to live out all the events, just so she can spend more time with Yuki each time. But as he fights against his now, lover of sorts, he tries to make everything right and reverse the time, and try to reverse the timeline or prevent it from happening. As he does it with this third timeline where Yuno isn't troubled by her abusive parents, none of the diary holders die, and he just lives out as a god in an emptiness void. Now, as for the protagonists, in many ways they're both similar, and as for which one I like, well, they're both normal kids. Or at least they were raised as normal kids, for the most part, in as a middle school for Japanese students, I believe. End up going into this twisted world where although the difference is, Ganta is dealing with ends up being stuck in a world where prisoners all end up to being psychos and all that stuff, while with Yuki, he ends up for most part dealing with normal people who have become murderous due to their abilities to see to the future. It ranges from to children to couples to fortune tellers to even policemen, for all that matters. Not to mention, let's see, all that stuff. But let's see. But I will admit, I think I enjoy Gunter a bit more due to the fact that, let's see, during the whole journey, let's see, I think he's the one that stays, for most part, optimistic, even around just, let's see, the one that, for most part, keeps the most rational and sane, due to the fact that even when the whole prison turns against him, and he finds out that, let's see, Shiru is the Red Man, let's see, he still tries to believe in the good of people and all that stuff, and still tries to save his friends, and even tries to find a way to save Shiro from her split personality. Let's see, well, let's see, after the loss of his parents, he breaks and starts snapping and even ends up, killing innocent people, including his own friends, and not listening when, clearly he should be listening when it's clear that Yuno is hiding secrets for him. In many ways, able to be manipulated and stuff. But yeah, granted, of course, Yuki eventually goes back down to the right path and unfixes other things. But in many ways, I think I find Gunter a bit more active protagonist than Yuki, because for a time, let's see, for most part, he was helpless in the fights, unless, let's see, there was no Yuno around to save him. So I guess you could say, so I guess perhaps maybe in a battle perspective, I guess I favor Gunter more than Yuki. I will say Yuki, in terms of the two, and not to mention Gunter, I think has the much more tragic backstory where, he was, bred for the purpose of becoming an experiment, only to be spared due to the fact that his mother just happened to fall in love with him, and his childhood friend ended up becoming the thing. So in many ways, he has this sense of guilt that he's not only responsible for so many deaths, including his friends and all that stuff, but he's also responsible. But due to the fact that his mother loved him, this girl Shira, who he loves, ended up becoming the tragic villain in the story when it should have been him. So yeah, I think I'll give Deadman Wonderland the victor for the male protagonists.
All right. I thought you were summarizing the story. That's why I was wondering. Like, I'm trying to figure out what we're doing this, or
sorry, I needed to summarize the story a bit more before I could get into the characters.
Well, I mean, like a lot of people should know the story. That's the thing. Like, if you were to, I mean, I don't know. It depends on the audience.
I guess it's just after the years of Naosaku podcast, I just have to summarize things before getting into the characters.
That's true. Those are chapter based. They're different.
Okay, fine. I'll try not to do that when I get to the female protagonists.
Well, sure. Anyway, so we're talking about the difference between these two male characters.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure you summarized a lot from me.
Well, then at least you don't have to summarize it for life.
Well, not summarize, but more like you're already giving the reason why I would choose him over the other guy. But yeah, but seriously, I'll go with Gonta for this one. I thought the main character, the protagonist, what's his name again? From Mirai?
Yuki's like the pet name that's given to him. So that's what I've been calling him.
I'll call him Yuki here too as well. Okay, so like with Yuki, I don't know. Something about him always bothers me whenever it feels like, hey, we're gonna have something different out of him. I think he's having a Kaneki trip moment in that one chapter where he practically trolled the fans and the meeting. Because I remember he lost his mom, and he sounded like he has changed a lot. The Kaneki effect, I guess you could call it that.
Yeah,
where he sounded like a badass. Turns out he was just doing a role play. So it's like, oh, all right. It's like, damn, you're very, very, very harsh shelled in terms of the emotional drastic change of event, aren't you, kid? At that point, if you really lost your mind, I wouldn't mind so much, because I would be like, yeah, you lost your parents, you lost your mom to your dad, and your dad dies. So it's like, wow, that's a pretty shitty life, and I'm surprised you keep this long. I guess the only difference is
go on full on Sasuke.
Yeah. I mean, my God, dude. But yeah, the problem with his character is that he always has this round trip of similarity that has been going on many times. And it has become a pattern and almost like a meme and stuff, unless it was a meme. Hey, I
It
could
might have
trust this
been.
person. Nope. I could definitely trust this person. Nope. Oh, what a friendly person. Nope. What a nice guy. Nope. I could trust a friend. Nope. Nope. Everything is a nope for him. I'm like, there is a concept that goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. How much do you have to get fooled for this?
Yeah,
How
right.
much? Like, even Gonta, he had this trip, but there's a moment that actually says, you have experienced a lot of like betrayal, but this is one that you guys should trust me on this. And guess what? He was right. And it's like, okay, I gotta fix myself. I gotta fix my approaches. I gotta fix my target. I gotta understand that there are people that are actually nice, even when there are people that are actually kind of evil themselves, including that girl who practically tricked her own dad and killed him. So there's that. But the point is, at least he's learning something out of it, learning everything about like his environment, his world that he has to live in for a while. So that's a different story. This kid from Mirai, just always going circles. And the fact he never had that Kaneki effect, it just bothersome. It's
Yeah.
like, huh. It's like, how am I supposed to follow you along? How am I supposed to root for you? If anything, the one that carried the show is actually but we get to her when we get to her. Practically, she carried the show. He just there just to have a moment of coolness once in a while, but that's like very in the blue moon. It's a shame, even if I'm changing the topic in a little bit, but like it's a shame because like in terms of action wise, he could have been interesting in terms of the smartness, but
Would you say
it
it
goes
kind of went the same way that Naruto went after like Pain Arc?
in a sense, yeah, because Naruto was all about the smarts and trying to do something out of your power that you already have and do the best you can with something that's supposed to be the impossible, but you managed to overcome that. Which that was the concept. I mean, yeah, it kind of stood there, but the way they doing it, the way they did it towards the end was just getting too much, and it just got too much of exclusivity that it doesn't make any fun. It just makes it very repetitive in some sense or form. So that's a problem on his own. With Deadman Wonderland, like the Gonta, the main character himself, I feel more invested with him compared to Mirai Yuki because at least he's actually learning from his environment. At least he's actually understanding. And there are times that he does go in circle, mainly with his relationship with Shiro.
Yeah.
It happened like 3 times, the breakup part, which is kind of baffling, but whatever. But the last one is understandable. It's just the first two was like, well, the first one's all right, but the second one's like, oh, you keep doing the same trend over and over again. It's like it's weird, but whatever. Point is, at least he's learning, at least he's understanding like the more of a adulthood, even if he is still 14 years old at the time. But as he's coming to understand, even if it's in a harsh environment, he's learning something that he needs to learn right away. So he does take into those approach. He does have his moments of like, of his breakdown, but who wouldn't? He's young. He's in a world where everybody dies because people aren't being fair, especially the Four Eyes Warden dude. He's like, which is hilarious because it's a neat. But anyway, we get to that later. So yeah, it's like at least we're getting behind him whenever he's trying to fight back, whenever he's trying to understand the approach. It's not like he's going in circles, or it's not like he's not learning anything. Plus, he has his moment where he accidentally changes his persona, which is kind of funny and amusing at some point, especially where it is like, hey, kill that person. Come on, man. We got to make the game interesting. Man, fuck you all. And then that was hilarious. I was like, huh, that came out of nowhere, but that was actually pretty funny. So it's like that's something that's keeps the charm alive. I guess the only difference with Yuki from Mirai, you could say, hey, look, somebody pulled a 125 from Tokyo Ghoul first. Like, sure, I guess. That's the only plus I can only give to that kid, which is still weird to do that because it transpired to the more strange plot twist that comes out of loop. It's just, well, we get to the plot later. Bottom line is I go with Gonza because I just feel like I'm more invested. I feel like he actually learns things, he's developed, and his relationship with Shiro is pretty amusing. But we'll get to that one
Anyways,
day.
Gonta
Not one
is
day,
like
soon later.
in many ways, Gonta's like the standard shonen protagonist, but just in a much more twisted and dark world.
Yeah, in a sense, but well, we'll get to the plot when we get to the plot. But yeah, you can say that. Let's go with that for now.
He's got the more proper hero's journey, so I think he got more of a development from it than Yuki.
Yeah, he got the proper one. I mean, like I understand Yuki gets some too, mainly towards the end, but that's where it gets really
before it even shows up. That's the other thing.
Not only it takes a while, but there's something happens that really makes you scratch your head like a lot until your hair come off your head. It's just, well, again, it's all based on the plot, but we'll get to when we get to it. So yeah, Gonzo for me.
Well, I'm actually going to echo the same opinion as you guys because I actually do prefer Gonta over Yuki for pretty much the same reasons. And it's actually kind of funny because for Deadman Wonderland specifically, I remember reading that like shortly after Naruto ended because I was still trying to find that void to fill because I was like, I need to read other stuff that I've been missing out on. And Deadman Wonderland, I remember was like the very first thing I read, and I gotta say, reading Gonta's story and seeing with where he started, I mean, yeah, some people were like, well, he's kind of like a little shit in the beginning. And I'm like, well, yeah, but when you see where his journey goes, ultimately, like from the beginning to the middle, like kind of seeing like how he kind of evolves slowly but surely, I thought that was like really cool. It's kind of like a more twisted version of Luke. Yeah, like there's also some bits where he's not developing too much, and that's more so his relationship with Shiro. But I think that's actually kind of like one of the stronger points for him because, again, that's someone he grew up with. And yeah, it had been years since he had seen her, but, kind of getting that reconnection feel, kind of getting that like sense of like, yeah, we did this. But, there also comes a point where like he doesn't even know that what she's done. And when that part comes, I was like, yo, it's crazy. But in looking at Yuki, I thought his character was, I wouldn't say interesting, but was alright from the beginning. I was like, okay, so he kind of gets dragged into the whole thing. I mean, you could argue they both do. But like with what Sparda and Blue Star said, there isn't really much when it comes to his development. And even when it happens, it takes a while. Like, it takes a good while before he does develop. And even then, like, some people even argue that, like, maybe it happened a little too late for his development to kick in, which I can kind of agree upon. But, yeah.
You could call him a passive protagonist or something.
Yeah. That's one way you could put it. But ultimately because of that, just seeing both their journeys, like, the journeys they both take it has a good start, but I feel like, again, when you see Gonta and you see what he goes through, like, he goes through it a lot more than Yuki does. Because, again, Yuki takes a good while before it kicks in. And even then, like, you kind of get to a point where you're just like, like, how long is it going to take before something snaps in your head? Not just me, but I'm sure like a lot of people were like, all right, Yuki, like we get your character, we get why you're doing these things, but you gotta step up. That's the most important thing. And just on that basis alone, I'm gonna give it to Gonta because, like I said, his backstory is a lot tragic, but what he has to go through ultimately throughout the manga of Deadman Wonderland, it's some deep shit. I'll say that. It is some deep shit. Would I say it's like on Ken Kaneki? I'll say it's close. I'll say it's that. It's close. Maybe not at that level, but it's definitely close in that respect. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Ganta for the win for this particular round for the main male protagonists. So now we jump on over to the female protagonists between Yuno and Shiro. So Blue Star, start us off.
All right, hold on a second.
And no summarizing, by the way.
All right. Well, anyway, Shiro and let's see, both the main female characters and eventually the love interests for the main characters. Shiro, well, you know the backstory where she is a tragic, where was like the substitute experiment for Shiro and all that stuff. And so when you introduce her, she's this playful, girl with sort of mysterious background, but but it seems to have this hidden murderous side to her. While Yuno is for most part, a friendly girl at first, ends up being quite the yandere and creepy stalker, not trusting any guy to be with him. In many ways, both these girls, if you met in real life, you'd want to stay the frick away from them. For one is a creepy stalker, and the other might sometimes has a split personality that one becomes a psycho killer. In many ways, they're both, the fighters originally for both, the male protagonists before they're ready to take on the fight themselves. For which one I like better, I have to go with Shiro, partly because she's a bit more playful, she's a bit more...
Bubbly?
Fan service.
No, I wasn't going to bring that up. I wasn't even going to bring that up at all. But yes, but now that you had... But yes, yes, but her skin-tight outfit does look incredibly like she looks like she's naked half the time. But anyway. Oh yeah, and they both end up being the final villain of each of their respective series. And that might be spoiler for the villains section, but hey, that's the truth. But I think I'd have to go with Shiro more because she's a bit more tragic in a sense where, she is, forced to become an experiment. The motivations of, her split personality. And the reason why she wants, why she did all she did was because she loves, sorry, my mistake. She loves Ganta.
I was about to joke because she loves, I'm like, actually, I don't know who.
I was like, who?
Sorry.
Who?
It was a wrong name. Name.
No. Okay. I guess the joke fly over the radar. Keep going.
No, I understand the joke. I understand the joke. And even though she, feels guilty about, what she does and all that stuff, but one of the reasons why she specifically wanted Ganta to come here is because she wants to be killed by the only person that she loves. And she feels like that is probably the only fitting way to kill her. But during the course of the time in the prison, she protects Ganta from any obstacles, damage and stuff, even when he gets mad at her, even when he doesn't want to see her. She is always the one person that Ganta can rely on, even when all his inmates and friends there turn against him due to a misunderstanding of why he protected one of the artificial dead men. In fact, she's the one that snaps them back out of their grudge against him by pointing out that he probably be... I can't recall what exactly, but Ganta wouldn't do... about reminding them that Ganta is quite the noble figure or something. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read Deadman Wonderland. Let's see. I don't know, maybe you will for life can remember, but yeah.
Wait, which part are you trying to ask about?
Okay, when all the inmates are angry at Ganta due to the artificial dead man that's killing them, right?
Yes.
And they don't want to hang out with him, and then eventually Ganta tries to get rid of Shiro so he can take on the warden by himself. But eventually it's Shiro that convinces the inmates to go help Ganta. I've forgotten what she said to get them to, go and stuff. I'm wondering if you remembered.
I'm trying to remember the character name. I somehow slipped out of my radar. I know what you're talking about, though. Azami?
Never mind. Point is, she gets, Gaunter's friends to support him, towards the end, before it's revealed that she is, before she's revealed as the Red Man, even though it's pretty obvious that she's probably the Red Man, after when one of the other inmates discovered her massacring an entire cell block of guards and stuff, and prisoners. But yeah.
I said lies. You did not know that.
He said lies.
You was like, oh my god, what a twist. You was like, she's the Red Man.
I don't know. I thought the hint made it a bit obvious that she was the Red Man.
Fine, she could be Mandarin for all I know.
Okay, apologies. I don't know. At least to me, it looked like, okay, she's probably the Red Man. But anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I think at least with Shiro, she's a bit more sympathetic than due to the fact that her murderous actions is mostly due to a split personality and more of the tragic experience. Now, in many ways, yes,
that's
she's
cheating.
I'm sorry, what?
I said that's cheating, not fair. It would have been hardcore if it's her. It would have been like, oh my god, too dark. I don't know what to do with this.
You can make your points. Let's see.
No, I'm kidding. It works one way. It works both ways. It works both ways.
Yeah, it works both ways. But yes. Now, with in many ways, she is the most active. In the thing of the two protagonists for Future Diaries. In fact, I believe she's considered the face of Yandere's, right?
Yep.
But yeah.
At least US market.
At least in terms of US marketing. I'm not sure what Japan is, but who knows. Let's see, but anyway. But yeah. Let's see. She's the most active, the one that's ready to get into the action and defend Yuki. Let's see. Even willing to kill people, regardless of if they're guilty or innocent. For example, let's see. And not to mention, there's this very interesting backstory on whether or not she actually killed her parents, and whether or not she's the real Yuno, and all that stuff. Let's see. I suppose in many ways she's the more messed up of the two, because due to her willingness to kill anyone, not to mention, the lengths she goes to keep Yuki in her sight, such as one time kidnapping him and making sure that they don't die until the deadline and all that stuff. And Ritzy is quite jealous or unstable whenever it looks like Yuki is moving away from her and going to other friends. She particularly becomes generous when one of the new male friends ends up being gay for Yuki stuff. But at times that she can also be quite supportive for Yuki and all that stuff. So there's that as well. Due to the fact that she's quite possessive and yandere, unfortunately, I find her reasonings for loving Yuki a bit shallow at first. To be a bit shallow. I mean, granted, partly the reason she's in love with him is because he agreed to marry her from a year ago, and he seems to have forgotten that a bit. All that stuff. And during that time, he even was being a bit creepy, as when he was trying to prevent, Yuki from confessing to another girl that he liked at the time. Granted, she does also have a bit of a tragic backstory where her parents are so strict on her that they lock her in a cage, where eventually she snapped and then locked them in a cage. Herself, so there's that. But in terms of I find the more likable and more sympathetic, I'll go with Shiro and give Deadman Wonderland the win.
All right. I'm pretty much going with Shiro in this one. I mean, they both have it is funny that you brought it up with the whole both of them are the final antagonists, which that just come across my mind too. It's like, oh yeah, they are the last antagonists. They pretty much are the main antagonists in a sense. Huh. What do you know? Maybe that's why we're doing the comparison. But
Mhm.
yeah, I still go. I'll choose Shiro for this because it's funny that you brought up about the whole jealousy with Yuki, not Yuki, excuse me, Yuno. Because I remember that's always a bothersome. It's like, oh hell no, you ain't going with nobody. And the only thing I don't like, especially where she ends up being the worst of all in a sense, is how much she's right about everything. She was like flawless as one will argue about the Joker in the Dark Knight. He's too flawless of being right for everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
and
why
that
she
turns
has to
out
be
to end
right
up
about
being God from another timeline.
like no, well not only that, but she's always right about things and like I understand it's a different timeline thing, but I don't know, like the things how it goes, like there's only one time she was challenged, but then his friend betrayed him. It's like, oh, once again, and we're doing this trend. The whole what a great friend I have. Not, that's
Hmm.
repetitiveness is baffling. But anyway, so like, she has to be correct. She has to be perfect, quote unquote, that she can never do anything wrong, despite where the very end comes in. That's where everything goes wrong.
Not to
I
mention
mean,
one
but hey,
time kidnapping Yuki. Sorry.
yeah, but hey, still, I'm
There's
not
that
wrong.
too.
Everybody is. Everybody is wrong, not me.
Yeah, but I
And
mean, in many
again,
ways, after that kidnapping thing, if I was Yuki, I would stay away from her completely. But go on.
yeah, yeah, still. Uh, but yeah, that's not happening for some reason. I try not to get into the plot line talking because, oof, what the f is going on when we get
I
to the
know when it
plot.
came to the final arc of like, let's see, Future Diary, I was like, this is convoluted.
Um,
Yeah, we'll get to
sure. Let's go with that. Let's go with that generosity term of use of convoluted. Let's go with that. Anyway,
You're
so
saying
back to
it's
the
worse than that?
female. I mean, I partially understood the most. I don't even know how to put this. I understood, but at the same time, I don't. It's the weirdest feeling,
Like it felt kind of
and
weird.
it felt very. It felt very jumping the sharky. Anyway, we're going. Actually, it is jump the shark. Screw that. Anyway, all right. So we're going focus with the female character, the
Yeah.
heroine. So it's always bothersome how she feels too vulnerable and invulnerable until the end because because she is the final antagonist. So you got to make her vulnerable, and you know how it all ends. She kill herself or something like that, and then a very weird mess of a plot twist comes in. It's like, what the yeah. Anyway, so other than that, in terms of helpfulness, she was helpful. She was supportive for Yuki. That's fine. That's cool. She's helpful. That's fine. That's cool. She pretty much carried the show because of her environment of interest. Like, huh? What is she? Why? What's with that rumor? What's with secrecy and all the other craziness? And especially when it gets towards the end, before the review, it does get like pretty interesting in terms of her character. Um, but I would say Shiro still because it's similar to her, only she's adaptable and she's actually friendly to everybody, so long that everybody's on the same page. So she's not like 100% like, well, I'm all gunto happy, but like she's willing to be like, at least try
Friendly with
to tell
everybody.
them like, hey, huh?
Be like friendly with everybody.
Yeah, she's friendly to everybody, and they're friendly to her as well. It's like, yeah, it's cool. There's no distrust thing. There's a distrust earlier, but of course you're gonna start off distrust, and then you got to develop your way. But in this in Mirai, it's like nobody's always distrust because she has to be right, and she is right because the plot demands to be right, and even the ending says she's right, which is what. But we'll get to that soon. So it's like, at least she's like a normal character that's just friendly, that's just cool with everybody. It was pretty nice to see she was like, communicating with another friend that's not Ganta. which it was Asami, which that was amusing to watch, even if it was a short while, and it does at least to tragic for her, not for Shiro. Well, technically she gets tragedy too, but I'm talking about Asami because where you I almost spoil. Sorry, I almost spoiled for another series, but so no reference here. No reference here. I almost want to say it. I was like,
I can't tell if she's talking about Deadman or another series at this point for life.
No, I was gonna say, in Deadman Wonderland, there was a scene that happens to this one character, and I was gonna reference to another series that actually just happened recently. And yeah, that would have been a major spoiler for those who don't read the other series as well. So I don't want to do that. Bottom line is, Shiro does go through a lot of tragic phase where doesn't really go tragic phase. The tragic already happened before. This is her trying to live in this world and try and make it happen for her, which doesn't happen for her because that's where Yuki find out about the truth and everything, and then it just go crazy from that point on. So yeah, there's that. Online, it's just more. There's more investment with Shiro. Again, they all boils down investment, which the reason why I say that because when we get to the plot line, I'll explain why. So bottom line, I go with Shiro.
Well, it should be no surprise for me to say this because I'll actually also go with Shiro. Because, number one, I actually didn't even realize that they both ended up being the final protagonists for both series. Because I was like,
you mean antagonists?
Antagonists, yeah, the final antagonists of both series. Because as soon as you brought that up, I was like, holy shit, that's true. I didn't even think about that until you just said that. So, yeah, that's intriguing, number one. Number two, like what these guys have echoed, Shiro is definitely a lot more tragic, but I think compared to she definitely does have more of like a bubbly side. You see more of like a playful nature to her. And while I do think she's interesting to say the least, I feel like she kind of almost ends up in a similar boat as Yuki, where there's not a whole lot of progression that happens with the character. Whereas with Shiro, yeah, like she kind of still remains bubbly throughout the story, but you can tell, like, if you look at like the subtle hints, she does kind of develop. If you like really pay attention to her character and just see where she goes and who she is by the end, it's not completely different, but it's different enough to a point where
I think you see her more reflecting on her actions of her, Red Man counterpart.
Yeah, that's what it is. And when you look at it like that, it's like, wow, there was a definite character arc there.
I think one bit when the realization that Ganta would probably forever hate her.
Yeah, like when she found that out, she was like, "Oh shit." So, yeah, that's something I really like seeing in characters, especially for female characters too, and a shonen series nonetheless.
One thing I would probably also say that the difference between Shiro and is that Yuno tries to keep Yuki away from friends, while Shiro tries to get Ganta's friends closer together and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's not just that, but kind of similar to what you also said too about like Shiro having split personality. When she does the killings, it's not intentional. That's the other thing I want to bring up. Whereas with Yuno, you understand that, yeah, she's doing this all intentionally. I mean, yeah, she's kind of being supportive, but in the back, she's like looking for ways to murder the next person. So if you look at it like that, it's like, okay, so there's some shades of gray there, but when you really think about it and consider it, like, yeah, Shiro definitely does have a lot more to her in that respect. And because of that, I'm going to give Shiro the win here for the main heroines. So, Deadman Wonderland for both male and for the female side of things. Brings us over into side characters, secondary characters, supporting characters.
Uh-huh.
So,
okay.
BlueStar.
Okay, now Granted, I've forgotten nearly just about all of their names. I'm going to say that now. For which group of side characters I think I enjoy more, I think it'll be the Deadman Wonderland, from the inmates to different Pritzy and the different police staff, or the warden. I mean the jailers and all that stuff.
Yeah, because you've got characters like Shinji.
Yeah, who's reminds me of a sort of like badass Kenpachi of a sense, mixed with Bon. He's like a fusion of Bon and Kenpachi to me.
You got the eye patch too, so there's that.
Yeah. Let's see, the first opponent that Gangster ever faced and ends up becoming, funny enough, his Kakashi, or mentor, for a while, before everyone goes against him.
That's true.
Yo Tammy, who was originally hired to watch over Ganta and learn large for cast points, but you learn that it's trying to rescue his sister. And eventually he becomes a supporter of Ganta. Mostly just because he also cares for his sister. In this case, Takema, originally a villain as well, but after being saved by Ganta from losing an organ after being lost in the fight, she becomes a bit of an ally. This old man, each have their own sort of like, tragic backstory as to why they got into the prison in the first place, due to the murders they either committed or somehow directly involved in. And how they've been experimented on and forced to fight thing. And you also have the I'm trying to remember the chief of the prison guards, who is a strict and does not tolerate any of the criminals' misbehaviors, but is also fighting on the inside to try and stop her chief, the warden of the prison at the time, Tsunanagi Takamani, from doing his illegal experimentations, eventually playing her own hands and stuff. And one thing and there's also that other, I'm trying to remember that other inmate, that was originally in the normal section, Asami, who sort of develops a crush on Ganta, but then is forced to be experimented on, and then forced to kill other inmates and stuff, the entertainment of the crowds and stuff.
So much for your Naruto Kuni, going.
Yeah, but yeah. Now, let's see. One thing I do like is how each of the side characters has their own subplot or character arc to go through. For example, the police chief. Makina. Who at first seems to be just a standard jailer trying to discipline, but as more she noticed the corruption within the Deadman Wonderland, the more she tries to take control, getting some of her outside friends ready to combat Tasunagi Takima at the time, and then later Richio Hagi, in order to bring order back to Deadman Wonderland, while with the inmates were first bonding with Ganta, but then eventually due to being taunted about their past sins and murders they may have committed, and not to mention these artificial Deadman Wonderlands killing them, he grew furious with Ganta when he detects one of them due to the fact of being a friend. They all turn on him quite harshly, which leaves Ganta in perhaps his most depressed state, besides maybe finding out that Shiro is the Wedman, only to be once being encouraged by Shiro to that they're in the wrong, and that that they should know better from what they treated with Ganta, to coming to his rescue. For her death was quite tragic when it turns out she was killed by the Red Man in attempts to try and save her for the sake of Ganta. In many ways, adds a heavy burden for Ganta. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is, each of the characters in Deadman Wonderland each have their own personal arc, and they each have their own role in the story that they fulfill. So yeah, they all feel like proper side characters, and they don't feel like they drag from the plot or feel completely avoid from the plot. While with Future Diary, and honestly, when it comes to like, let's see, the friends that Yuki makes, Arua Akisia feels like the only one that's kind of active, while Ojo, Hinata, and Maru felt only really like active in like one or two bits. I feel like they only really involved during the time when like is going crazy, or when the introduction where Ojo and where Mano and Hinata are trying to kill Yuki, due to the fact that, let's see, for the sake of like the Mao's father, was it no Hinata's father? Let's see. Well, I feel like let's see, Aruru is perhaps the most active due to the fact that he's the one that's trying to find the mystery behind and the one that let's see, in many ways, let's see, probably should who Yuki should listen to, and in many ways, perhaps the more healthy romantic relationship he can have. Let's see, this is the one time I'll probably support the Yarrow shipping over the main hetero shipping. Let's see, due to the fact that he actually cares for like Yuki, even though it's revealed that was an artificial created by DS Machina to watch over the story. But he has this very cool defining moment where he takes charge and convinces DS Machina to take part in the story. Tragically, he ends up being killed by Yuno before he can reveal the truth to Yuki about Yuno's true thing. People like Ojo, who was like originally a bully to like Yuki, and then even turned on him back when Number 9 tried to kill him. Let's see, but then I don't know. I kind of feel like their friendship felt like it was just kind of there, and it didn't really properly develop. But But he does have his moments, such as when he got his own sort of like diary thing from like the 8th diary holder, and was able to help save, Yuki from like from one point during the story. But outside that, I don't really think he's much active, except for when they were trying to kill Number 11. But afterwards, he gets killed quite easily. Apparently, the reason he bullies Yuki is because his crybaby face reminds him of his stupid dog, which I feel like with Hinata and Mano outside once the 10th diary user is killed, they don't really have much to contribute to the story. Other supporting characters I can think of are like Yuki's parents, the mother, who seems to be quite accepting of even though if I was probably Yuki's mother, I would probably be a bit suspicious of her. The other is the father, who just betrays Yuki, so like worst father of the year award. Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist has a rival, has a competitor for the worst daddy of the year.
Or at least the worst husband of the year.
Or worst husband of the year. Let's see. Worst father or worst husband, take your pick. Mishina Nishiyama, who's a subordinate of the 4th diary thing back when he was, and still remains a bit of an ally. Right after the 4th diary, his boss dies. Tries to do the right thing by the law and stuff. Tries to help the diary users that he cares about. Eventually declaring he wants to marry the 9th diary user, which, I'll be honest, comes out of nowhere. I'd probably say the best side character for Future Diary is probably diary user Number 9, who goes from a journey of being a villain to an anti-hero. Trying to eventually originally trying to kill Yuki to trying to help him, and trying to stop Yuno's insane plot of going from repeating the same cycle over and over again. Ensuring that the future always ends in destruction and all that stuff, and actually having a proper future. But like I said, I think I just found the Deadman Wonderland side characters are much more engaging, let's see, proper arcs and more involved in the plot. Granted, let's see, the Future Diary side characters all technically die at some point during the series and then gets the Ex Machina revived towards the end by creating a third new timeline. So there's that. So Deadman Wonderland once again.
I think you said Dead. I could have sworn I heard you said Deadman Wonderland. I was like, Woko.
No, Deadman Wonderland. My mistake.
I heard. That's okay. I'm kidding. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy to say Deadman Wonderland for this one. I think the only problem I really have with Deadman Wonderland side characters, I feel like they didn't get their repercussions or something like, like some character. I think the more notably one would be the sister. I mean, that's some messed up stuff she done. And she got to get a chance to go back to school. I'm not sure that's the ending I would say that she deserved.
Suki, I think, right? I think that's the sister's name.
Yeah, because, she was messed up to her mom. She was definitely messed up to the father. She gets the coolest girl ever treatment in a sense. So I don't know. That part always made me head scratch.
Perhaps maybe she was just too damn popular that the mangaka decided not to kill her off.
Really?
Yeah, who knows? Wait, was that true, or are you just saying
I'm
that?
just making that as a joke and a sort of wild theory.
Okay.
Oh,
wait, I don't.
It's a possible. That's the kind of sad part. That's a possible theory. I think the only one that didn't get the treatment. It's funny because a lot of side characters always get a backstory, which could be nice, but at the same time, it could be dragging. I was like, okay, I know this villain is gonna die in the next chapter. You don't need to tell me what he is. It's like not everybody needs to tell me what it is. You could just say like, "Oh, this guy, he killed 5 people. Now get him." You don't need to be like, "This is the guy who he has killed 5 people, and then he went to the other place and he killed some kids." Yeah, and you know what the crazy part is? He decided to be cannibal by the time he gets to jail. It's like, all right, cool. I guess. Can we just fight?
Yeah, I feel like
it drag on when they give every single character backstory. Not a backstory like a long flashback. I'm talking about like just backstory, like a page or 2. I'm like, all right, we get it.
I mean, in terms of backstory, the only time we want to see a villain's backstory is usually the main ones.
Yeah, but like I said, the henchman got one too. I'm like, my goodness, everybody got one. Every single one. I was like, all right, you got to calm down, sir. With all due respect, not everybody needs to be exposed like crazy, But anyway, point is, yeah, everything is fine for the most part. I dig the side characters. They were more cool. They were more fun. They were a lot more engaging.
I'll say that.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, always gonna remember. The one that sticks out in terms of the side character would be Senji. Duh, Senji.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Senji. Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
I think
Senji was the best.
He alone is what you could argue could give the win to Deadman Wonderland. But go on.
Yeah, I mean, he was just not only a badass, but he had a good backstory as well that transpired his badassery. And he was the only character that I actually thought he might probably, hit the bucket. I thought he was going to die. Turns out he didn't because he got an actual bromance with Gonta, which helps a lot too. So I was like, yeah, I like these characters. I like these side characters. With Mirai, they're not bad, but because they had to make 100% correct, everybody always has to be a backstabber. Well, most of the characters has to be a backstabber.
Like it kind of becomes
the only one that, right? The only one that was strangely salvageable would be the right term. I'm not sure. Dang it, what's her name though? Which is funny because, which is hilarious, huh? Is it Knife Diary one?
Yeah, I believe so. The terrorist.
Which is hilarious because she has an eye patch as well. So go figure. Eye patch kicks ass. Tell you. People with eye patch.
Her name is Many Yuru.
Yeah. She's the only.
You could argue she's the secondary female protagonist, but go on.
Right. Yeah, she was like the only one that really sticks out the most in terms of side character. Everyone else is fine. They do their roles fine. Yeah, they got Deus Ex Machina ending, which is we get to that when we get to that. I keep saying that because that's the only part that really destroyed the manga, honestly. But I pretty much spoil everything. So let me get back to the side character. Yeah. Again, they were not bad. They were decent. They were fine. I just find the Deadman Wonderland more eccentric. I guess I was more attached to them. Yeah, you could argue like everybody kind of had that basic shonen thingy by the end, which we get to that too. Um, in the plot line talk, but still, like at least I was more engaged with them. I was having more fun with them. I was more entertained with those characters, especially if they didn't come off like douchebags. I mean, yeah, they got that misfit, but this was more or less understandable because again, these characters have gone through a lot of hell, and to see a character that's trying to backstab them because he want to save this person that's supposedly the evil one out of them all is like, man, that feels like that's like a break in my heart moment in terms of friendship. That is, which I don't blame them. I don't blame them in that moment. But they do rebound and they are still maintained to their likability for the most part. So that's fine. These characters they die. Mirai, that is. Mirai characters they die because the series is battle royale centric series, meaning that everybody will die and it will go down to one, if not two. But then there's something else happen at the end, but we get to that again. Bottom line is, I thought the side character from Deadman Wonderland was more easier to engage with than compared to Mirai, as Mirai is always going to be that whole scenario of like, I am the good guy. Oh, no, I'm not. I mean, like, they didn't even bother trying to be like, the reason why I turned bad is because, well, we're the only two men. It's the only the last of us. That's the wrong title drop. I don't care. We're the last of us. So that was they did that. And it's weird because some of them did a weird timing. Like, why are you doing that now? Why are you not just wait until you really are the last of us? And then there's actually a Deus Ex Machina within the series, which is with that kid who for somehow got a future diary of his own. I'm like, huh? But yeah, but it's this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would love to know the author's point of view, his mindset, because you have a character that literally is called Deus Ex Machina. Is this supposed to be a parody series? Because I would love to know that. It could help a lot.
I know, right? I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like, this character name is Deus Ex Machina? This series has to be self-aware, right? I still don't know.
Well, I partly wonder that because he did do a few Omega chapters with the diary users.
Well, yeah, that's not true. As for the ending for these characters, they're fine. Again, the character I like the most in that one did get an ending. The only funny thing about the ending is how it started off. It seems like it would happen in a snap, like not exactly the very end, but more like how it begins that subplot in sort of sense. Because apparently that guy who she ended up with just became one major horn dog in that one chapter. I'm like, did I miss something? Why are you becoming such
nowhere?
Like, yeah, it came out of nowhere. That guy was like thirsty. I was like, guy, you all right? Guy, you all right? He's like, we defeated that facial diary user. Yeah, we did. All right, let's do this. Let's get on with it. I'm like, should I think you're the bad guy or you're just a sexual predator? Because honestly, where's that flare gun to signal police? I just like, but I am the police. Shit. So it's just a weird feeling, absolute weird feeling. But yeah, I'll go with Deadman.
Sorry, I just didn't hear.
Wonderland.
Sorry, I just didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Man, my dog was going crazy. Sorry. But yeah, Deadman Wonderland for sure.
The side characters in Mir and Nikki, like I said, they're kind of one note. Like at first it was like, all right, it's interesting, it's cool. Well, once you start noticing a pattern that goes on, then it kind of starts becoming like, well, is that the only role you guys have? Because, I mean, look, their personalities and stuff are okay at best, in my personal opinion. But, their purpose in the story, it's kind of like a checklist. Like, all right, how long is it going to be until the betrayal happens? Like, oh, there it is. Like, how long is there it is again? Or like, oh, betrayal number 4. Okay, so that's what we're turning this into. That's the impression I got from the supporting characters from Miri and Nikki. Now, Deadman Wonderland, their personalities, like they're pretty distinct. Like each of the side characters have like a distinct personality to a point where you can identify as to like who's who. Like two characters I kind of named off that were kind of named off already. Shinji, he's kind of a hard ass, kind of like Kenpachi, but he does kind of become the mentor figure like Kakashi from Naruto. So that I thought I was like, okay. Then you've got Minasuki, Takami's sister. At first, she kind of has like this shy personality, kind of like Orihime, kind of like Hinata. But, and I'm not even joking when I say this, literally, I want to say maybe within like the same chapter, there's like an instant flip, and you're like, whoa, okay, that you kind of come off one way, but then when you see her true nature, it's very sadistic. It's kind of unsettling. At the same time, you're like, okay, she's actually kind of cool. When you actually kind of get to see like.
In many ways, she kind of sets up that you be careful who you trust in the Deadman Wonderland prison.
Yeah, that's what it becomes, and now she does have a character arc. I will say that, but I do feel like her character arc could have been handled just a little better. I'm not going to say it was bad, because I think it was really good. I did think it could have been something much more, like had there been a little bit more added to it. But that's just kind of what I think about the side characters from Deadman Wonderland. I'll just give you 2 examples right off the bat there. Kind of echoing off with what Sparda and Blue Star said. Deadman Wonderland, so 3 for 3 in this case. And yeah, so like I said, male protagonist, Deadman Wonderland, female protagonist, Deadman, and now side characters. Same thing. And that's kind of pretty much, I mean, well, actually, there's still one more particular category. The villains, in this particular case. But in a way, you could kind of lump the villains in with the side cast, too.
No, I actually do want to talk about the villains to an extent, to be fair, Lucky G.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying that, like, you could make that argument, like, well, they do kind of line up with the side characters, but there is some things we kind of need to go over with the villains. So, Blue Star, take it away.
Okay, well, after 3 consecutive victories for Deadman Wonderland, I'm actually going to give the villain side to the Future Diary for this one, because, let's see, mainly because, for me, the Future Diary ones, let's see, I feel they stand out a bit more and a bit more unique compared to the Deadman Wonderlands, where the Deadman Wonderland ones, well, technically, they all have the same blood abilities as, like, the protagonists and the side characters. Like, some of the original cellmates were antagonists to Ganta. But I feel like when it gets to, like, the artificial ones, they're all more just, like, super-powered henchmen at the moment. And, let's see, and when it came to, like, those Elite Four ones, they kind of didn't really feel like they had much personality to them, besides outside of that fight, I guess, maybe. But yeah, all the opponents they were facing. But with the Future Diary ones, let's see, while they all have, like, diaries themselves, each of them are unique. They each have, like, a specific ability or something like that. For example, the 4th diary user is on crime. The 9th one is escaping. Let's see, the 8th one can give diaries to other. The 7th is, like, 2 phones because they're lovers. let's see, and they can help each other out. Let's see. The sixth one is the fortune tellers. The fifth one is a playbook school book that allows them to do 3 different types of predictions. Let's see. In many ways, each of the diaries I feel like are a bit more creative than some of the bad guys in like Deadman Wonderland. Not to mention, I do feel like the villains kind of stand out a bit. Each have their own different motivations and personalities and, let's see, interactions. Let's see, you see multiple alliances, let's see, team-ups, let's see, betrayals and all that stuff. For example, you have 8 teaming up with 7 originally, before teaming up with, like, let's see, Yuki and Yuno before those 2 betray her by killing all her kindergartners or getting all her kindergartners killed, before teaming up to 11 who can supervise everyone else's diaries. Let's see, you have, let's see, number 10 using his own daughter to try and move far in the plot. Let's see, you even have like diary users who first appear to be Yuki's friends, which is the 6th one, who is like a fortune teller, only to reveal that she plans on betraying them with her cult. And then there's the 4th diary user who at first helps Yuki with like number 9's initial attack on him, turning a kit. Let's see, turning this entire school against him, and then later against the 6th diary user. But then eventually turns on him when he's trying to rescue his own wife and like son, I believe. So in many ways, you do have a sort of sympathetic thing, but there's like let's see, for this like future diary, you have all these sort of let's see team ups and portrayals. So there's the aspect that has going for it. Let's see, alliances are forged and broken. Let's see, I'd say among the diary users, the only one that didn't, I'd say, go bad or do any evil acts during the whole thing would be number 12, who was entirely trying to be a superhero, which he eventually did in an alternate timeline when he ends up catching the mass murderer that is number 3, who's probably the most witty, boring of the most least developed, partly because he was the villain killed in the first chapter, the standard one-shot bad guy. And I think one thing that also helps the diary users as villains and all that stuff is that they each get this sort of like Omake chapter where you reveal how they got the diary. I particularly found the 3rd diary user funny because he always breaks the phone because it's evidence, always ends up killing himself, implying that, yeah, this guy's, no matter what, is going to be the first to die. See, and there's even some diary users that serve as like a foil for like protagonists. For example, the 7th diary users are a proper couple in love, who like truly genuinely love each other. While, let's see, you could argue, let's see, Yuno and Yuki's romance is a bit shallow and sometimes bit built on false pretense, and even sometimes downright creepy. But yeah. So stuff. Yeah, I'll give Future Diaries the win for this, partly because, for me, outside of maybe, let's see, the Red Man and the 2 main bad guys for the first half and second half, let's see, Richie Hage and Tasuki Takemi, there isn't really much difference I can tell from them. They don't really have, I think, most different personality, except maybe over-top killers. Let's see, granted, I find, let's see, Takamaki's reasonings from, like, let's see, for going insane is when his computer was badly injured. Let's see, and when he killed his, like, a mother or something. But yeah, I'd give it to, like, Future Diary, partly due to the other diary users made, let's see, who you can trust, let's see, who's going to kill you, all the more engaging. I'd definitely say the most threatening one was the 11th diary user because he was mayor and used his own powers to his advantage and stuff. But yeah, For Life, your turn.
Well, here's the thing: the trick to make the villain good in Mirai Nikki or Future Diary is there are side characters. That's why it worked.
Yeah.
That's why the advantage point comes in, because they are side characters. They are side characters that could be seen as both ways. Yeah. I'm just saying this. That's a trick to it. It's kind of like making a villain versus villain. Just make one villain into a hero for this instant. But after that, you got to go back where you came from. It's kind of like that, in that kind of concept, to make it feel like, oh, I
suppose
to make,
you could argue
even,
that Future Diary allows a more grey area.
yeah. I mean, that's the advantage point, and honestly, that's probably the winning point as well, because when you look at the villains for Deadman Wonderland, they've like, I understand a lot of series is always going to be having expendable villains because they had to make them stronger and stronger and stronger. But this was one of the cases they really keep on going with that trend, where we went from Undertakers, which sounds like a Koski, and then we went from Forgery, I think that's what they call. And then we go to the Unit 1 of Forgery, where they don't need the mask. It's like, all right, how many villains are you adapting? How many villains are you developing? Like, how many groups are we going with? It's like, damn, I'm just getting used to the Undertakers. I thought Undertakers were like the only one and only. I thought they were the Akatsuki. And then you got the Forgery, and then you got the Forgery of the Unit 1 version. And then you got the right hand man of the main bad guy before the main bad guy goes to the Shiro or the Red Man, whatever. It's like, my God, what? I'm trying to focus on.
Manga series is only like 55 chapters long or something.
Yeah,
it's like
we got like 80.
Sorry, go on.
59 chapters actually.
No, I'm just saying, it's like we got like 88 groups, and none. It's just crazy.
I mean, the only time when that wetsuit works is when you have like long-running series like Gintama or One Piece.
Well, but not only that, they separate each other from apart. So it's not like it's always like right in your face, every single one in one collectible style. Like, damn, we just got used to the Undertakers. Now we're getting used to the other guys. Now we're getting used to the other guy of that same form. Then we're getting used to the other guys. Relax. Give me one standard villain group, and that's it. We always transpire to a new group. Hell, whatever happened to the Olympic Games? We just done that and do call it a day because there's an underground that goes beyond the underworld, whatever how they said it. It's like, oh, I was trying to get used to the whole game world where people really do die just for candy, which is sad because I was enjoying that for a while.
I can't forget.
Yeah, honestly, Deadman Wonderland did drop a few key points many times throughout. They did drop few key points many times throughout the series, which is kind of strange because you can see it. I think the one that really irks me is the blood. It's like, because I remember they made that as a limitation. After that, it's non-existent. It's like everybody could shoot out all your blood and you won't have no repercussion. It's like, huh. It's weird. Anyway, so Mirai advantage is that these side characters are actually antagonists as well. So they have their own reason to fight against the main character because, of course, nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to get that one wish granted. So why not? Why not fight everybody for your cause? It's selfish, but that's the idea of it. But you can understand where they're coming from, for most part. So, yeah, Mirai got that advantage. I mean, yeah, you got that one villain for Deadman Wonderland, which probably was one of the convoluted aspect of the story, where he's supposed to be that old guy that was dying. We all thought he died, but he was transferred. It pretty much pulled how you pronounce that anime. The one that just recently ended is a circus one. Because that character actually did the exact same thing. I'm like, huh. I know that. So it's just strange. Like, I know the anime. I know that series is technically before the Deadman Wonderland. I think it should be before because it is an old series. But it is kind of strange to see that same plot line coming again with the main bad guy transferring memories in order to become a new bad guy, in order to relive his life, or so to say, however it goes. But that was the only convoluted part. I was just like, Oh, that's weird. Everything else is fine, but again, going back to the main to antagonist wise, Mirai, at least they have a character because, well, they're side characters. That was the advantage of it. They have characters, so you could understand them. You could understand the backstory, the background, whatever. So it's easier to adapt. So definitely, Mirai got that win for me.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, I would have to go with Mirai Nikki too on that particular sense, because while again the villains in Deadman Wonderland were okay, they weren't bad by any means, but if you want to talk about like having like personality and all of that, it's kind of non-existent when you look at it from that point of view. And that's the one thing I can give Mirai Nikki an advantage over, because like what Sparda and Blue Star said, there's that sense of personality to them, but again the villains are the side characters, so you kind of get to know exactly what it is they're doing, even if they are a little one note in that respect too. So they're kind of similar, both Deadman Wonderland and Mirai Nikki in the villains category, but because the villains are kind of the side characters, it's like, well, okay, it gets a slight advantage in that particular category. Otherwise, it's like, well, okay, they're kind of even. But in this case, I'm gonna give it to Mirai Nikki for the villain side, which, ironically enough, because this kind of ties back in with the other topic we discussed, the quote unquote main antagonist for both series, which, funny enough, are both female characters. Just wanted to lay that out there, because that's a rare thing. That's a rare thing to happen.
Usually when it's a final antagonist, when it's related to the main character, it's either the main rival or the guy who ruined their life.
Mm-hmm. But in this case, the main antagonist, the love of their life. That's unique. That's pretty unique, actually, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I know I usually go last, but I want to talk about this because that just kind of sticks out to me a lot, and without not even realizing it. But it's kind of similar to what I said back in the discussion with female characters. They're similar but different. With Yuno, and she does have a tragic backstory, but that's already like set up and established like right off the bat. Whereas with Shiro, we kind of build towards it. And when she is the antagonist, it's not necessarily her. It's the other personality. So you kind of understand that, okay, it's not done intentionally. It's something else. Whereas with Yuno, you understand that, yeah, okay, she's doing all this on purpose. So again, there's some complexities for both of them. Well, for Yuno, it does get convoluted, especially by the end, on her side of the spectrum. And kind of like with what I said with the female characters back in that category, I feel like there's a little more of a connection that you have to Shiro, to where when you see how she kind of gets taken out, I mean, is it a little not lazy? I wouldn't say that. Would you say it's kind of a cop out? You could make that argument too, but when you understand why that scene is happening the way it is and what exactly is going on with Ganta, kind of sit there and go like, okay, that actually does make sense, and it is actually kind of fitting with the antagonist. The final antagonist gets situated with both, well, with more so, with Shiro's side than anything. And just for that, I'm going to give it to Deadman Wonderland. So, since I opened up the floorboard, I will let you guys talk now. Give your thoughts on the main antagonist for both series.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. Let's see. In terms of, well, I gave Future Diaries the win for like antagonists, but I suppose in Final Boss, I'd probably give it to let's see, Deadman Wonderland, because I feel like it's built up as a lot more tragic, let's see, and sympathetic towards like Yuno and let's see, towards Ganto and Shiro, because by this point you've just about learned everything about them, how they were childhood friends, how they were, let's see, how one was in how let's see Ganto was originally supposed to become the Red Man, but it ended up becoming Shiro. So there's a sense of guilt there for Ganto. Let's see for Shiro. Let's see, she wants to die by the one person that she trusts and loves in this world. The only person that was probably truly kind to her, besides maybe Ganto's mother, even though she experimented her, which was totally wrong. It's, in many ways, this is the moment where Ganto have been building up to the series of finally avenging his friends, only to realize just who the Red Man is, and he can't really fully be prepared to do it in the end. Let's see. In many ways, I'd say it's even more in many ways, I would say I was probably looking forward to it more than Naruto versus Sasuke's final fight in part 2, to be honest.
Well, let's be fair. After a certain point in part 2, it was just like, let's just get to it. That's just what it became.
In many ways, but we can talk more about that off podcast, but yeah. Let's see, with Yuki and Yuna, well, I suppose there's some bit of tragedy towards it, I guess. Partly because when you find out that Yuna is actually from a different timeline in which Yuki died, and she's in so much grief that she just wants to keep repeating the events over and over again just so she can spend more time with Yuki. I wouldn't say it entirely feel like it's entirely sympathetic due to the fact that due to the actions that I suppose Yuki has done to get there and all that stuff, and also due to how a bit unhealthy the relationship has been between the two. I mean, the reasoning why they fell in love with each other to begin with. Not to mention that, Yuki's plan is a bit, unsympathetic and selfish, and it's like, you kind of like want Yuki to stop Yuno at this point. It's really convoluted, particularly like how to fix everything and all that stuff. I'd say Deadman Wonderland.
Yeah, I'll go with Deadman Wonderland. It's pretty easy. When Yuno was revealed to be the main villain or the final villain, whatever, I was like, kill that, I was like that. With Shiro, I was like, it did build up better because because it's funny because at first I thought it was a weird thing to decide to reveal who's the Red Man so early, like I think in chapter 11, 10, or even earlier.
It's still kind of weird. I remember I was like, what?
I was like, you revealed this big twist pretty early, but I'm interested to see where you take it. And thankfully, it actually worked out well because it does build up for like a big struggle. Not just like, oh, I'm gonna hate you, I hate you too, but like it makes it harder because it's like you're starting to see like Shiro. That you started first, you realize slowly that Shiro has a split personality, and that makes it harder for her, to try to comprehend her when she's like doesn't unaware of her actions where it comes to like killing people, causing earthquakes and whatnot. So it's like it's harder to hate her 100%. It's not like she will become the coolest girl ever if she survived this and she live and be roam free. It's much complicated than that. And then you start to see how it even made her into the way she is today. So when you start to learn all that, once that final battle comes in, you understand and you're ready for it, and you're quite prepared of what is at stake from that point on. It's like is Gunter really gonna kill her? Because I think that might be the bad approach. I feel like there's gotta be a better way for that, rather than it's crazy. Why not just kill her? Hey, look at the bright side. You lost your virginity. Just kill her, please. Just do it for me, because I'm annoyed throughout this entire manga. Reading it again for this sake of podcast, it made me irritated again. So can you please, even though I can't change
Just
the
end
ending
her
because I know
misery.
the ending, can you please end it for me? So I was like that. I didn't feel that way with the whole Shira and Gonzo. Because again, one of the strengths was their relationship. One of the biggest strengths of the series was their relationship. I mean, like, yeah, you could try to argue about the early stage where Shira was like a airhead pretty much, but once you learn the backstory, you understand why she's like that. And she starts to develop more of her person, which is the driving force of her character.
The
That she was
I
becoming.
think the one thing that sells it for me is when it's revealed that it was supposed to be Gonta that was supposed to become the Red Man and not her.
Right. Yeah. See, like I said, really, I know the story towards the end gets a little confusing, but it's actually when you take your time, it does make sense. The only part I didn't understand that much was the whole that crazy guy who's like, he tried to find something interesting, so he found the interest in Shiro. The whole transfusion to the different body is kind of unnecessary quirk to begin with. Like, I don't know. I feel that's just a little bit off the rail in
Not to
terms of
mention
the
it brought
nature
this.
of the series.
Not to mention it kind of brought this random girl that you never met before that ends up. Is he
Yeah,
helping him?
that too. That too. I felt like everything was just. It felt very plot device, I guess.
It did.
Like,
It felt
yeah,
like, oh
that
crap, I ran
whole
out of
thing.
bad. It's like, oh crap, I ran out of bad guys. I need to create new ones.
Yeah, it's like, oops, I'm in the final arc, and I got figured out how to be. Like, it's funny because his first defeat was proper, and then he got his second defeat, and it's like, well, I mean, it's sort of proper, but I felt like the first defeat was more memorable in compare because it was cool to have the bro team moment with Ganta and Senji again. That's how you say his name, right? Please tell me I
I
say
think
his name. But yeah, but it was pretty badass, and it was pretty cool because it had like what 5 double page spread, and
it was.
badassery. I was like, yeah, 5 page of five double page spread of awesomeness.
We
But then he and then
respect.
yeah, and then this girl randomly appeared. Well, sorry. Well, she actually randomly appeared earlier, but this is where she gets the real arc. So yeah, it's weird. But yeah, like I'll definitely go with the Deadman Wonderland in terms of the main antagonist because I was prepared. I was more ready for it. I was really interested to see how it's gonna end. With I'm just begging for it. I'm not sure begging was a good idea in order to make the fan interested. I was just begging for
I guess,
Yuki
like,
to kill and then we got yeah, and then you got.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Sparta, but
That's all right.
it's kind of like because one person pointed this out to me, like Shiro is kind of like if you knew Anakin Skywalker before he became Darth Vader, and then when you see that confrontation with Luke, it's like, shit, how's that gonna go down?
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of like
So, but yeah, like the ending. I'm not sure what's the next topic after this. What's the next one?
So the next topic after this, which I actually want to add this in before we get to that.
Come on.
It's gonna be quick. It's just a quick thing. That just came to my head. I think what also helps the whole final antagonist thing for Deadman Wonderland side of things is that by that point, like Shiro and Gonta are like already together, so there's a lot more weight added to it because of that. Going on from that, we are now going to be talking about the story, which normally we do best arc, worst arc, but in this particular sense, that it's like all one, like interconnected narrative. That's the word I want to use here. A narrative without like an arc per se, or how it's like just one story. We're just going to talk about the best parts for both series, which of the best parts stood out more, and worst parts. You guys kind of get the idea for that. So, and then the ending is going to be like its own separate topic. That's a usual thing we do for Manga Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, Blue Star, why don't you start us off?
Okay, Best parts. For me, I'd say it was when, for Deadman Wonderland, I think it was probably around the time when everyone turned against Gunter, and then Gunter tried to take on the Warden and all that stuff, and then eventually having all his friends turning in. I think that's, to me, when I was really invested where I got really invested into the manga. I thought that was like the really good thing. The other good thing is learning the twist about how Gunter was supposed to be the original Red Man and all that stuff. I feel like those to me are the two standing moments in the manga that Ritzy really got, that I think will get me hooked in it. Future Diary. Ooh, I think that might have been. I think during the time of dealing with the 6th, 10th, and 4th diary users. I think that's when I was mostly interested in the series. For that, let's see, maybe initially, let's see, again, once Yuki's parents were dead. Let's see, but then I think afterwards, yeah, I think that's when the series stood out for me. For Future Diary. I'd have to say it'd be the best moments from Deadman Wonderland, partly because I think the moments when, because I find the moments when Gunter is turned on, everyone's turned on Gunter to be quite heartbreaking and all that stuff, and then when everyone comes to save him, I thought that was quite really powerful. So yeah, I'd probably go with Deadman Wonderland. Let's see, when from like the moment, let's see, the artificial dead men came to him, let's see, finding out that, let's see, Shiro is the dead man. I think that was, to me, that was the best moment of Deadman Wonderland, and I think it's better than all the Future Diary scenes.
Deadman best part.
It could be parts too, so it could be like anything throughout the story.
I guess.
Well, besides the ending, of course, since the topic.
Well, I guess like I keep saying, the bro team with Senji and Ganta against what could have been the final villain, but not really the final villain, but just a bit villain. That part I really like, because it just showed, because it was convincing how they both like were bros or mentors, students, stuff like that, whatever you want to call it. That I thought that was pretty damn badass. I thought it was pretty cool to see them working together. Not that they had a good chemistry. I thought that was like the best part, the highlight. That was my best part. Worst part for this series.
Actually, worst part's going to be the next thing we talk about. But
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, the best part for Mirai Nikki Future Diary. The best part, chapter 125 recreation. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I don't know. Maybe the beginning, because it felt like it was hopeful.
What, Future Diary?
Yeah. Because it felt like, because you start with the school being threatened. It felt like set the groundwork of what the series is going to be about, or what you expect from the series.
I did find the beginning much more engaging, with like the betrayals, the plot arcs and turns, and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, but other than that, that's all I got for now.
Yeah. For me, I will definitely say I think the best parts are like the character interaction and the character moments for Deadman Wonderland. Like, you see like how different everyone is with one another, and it's not like one character is like exclusive to one particular character. Like, Ganda has his interactions with like everyone, with Senji, with Minasuke, and a couple other characters too. Like even with Shiro, like she does mainly talk to Ganta, but you do see other moments where she does interact with like other characters, and I think that's kind of the big thing that kind of stands out for me for that. And I think like the way how the Deadman Wonderland setting itself is set out, I think it was done really well, like detailing each specific part about the theme park and just seeing what goes on and ultimately kind of how it ties into the narrative. And I thought That was actually something I really really liked too, and of course the whole thing with Shiro and how that ultimately led to where it did in the ending, and how that that, and also the relationship between Ganta and Shiro. I thought that was very well done, and at the heart of it, that's kind of what it is for Deadman Wonderland. Like the heart of it is really those two, and I think it really succeeded in that category. And for me, those are the best parts for Deadman Wonderland. Now for Miri and Nikki, it had good setup. I'll say that. It definitely had a good setup in the beginning, kind of like with what Sparta and Blue Star said. And I mean, there were some interesting twists that happened. I'm not going to say there were a lot, but there were some moments where I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I guess how they took out some of the side characters, I thought that was kind of cool too. Even though the pattern did kind of repeat, like, all right, so where exactly is this next person going to start double crossing people? That's kind of where I was like, okay. Which you could argue is like, okay, that's kind of a weakness, but you know, but other than that, that's pretty much it for the best part. If I had to pick between the two, best part would probably go to Deadman Wonderland. So now we transition over into worst part. And of course, similarly, which of the worst moments stood out more compared to the other? So, Blue Star.
Ooh, I'm trying to remember the worst moment for Deadman Wonderland. For me, I guess it might have been some of the more early gory scenes in the manga, where I felt like this is going a bit over the top. Let's see, granted, I could also argue perhaps maybe the final, let's see, fight with that second half villain. What's his name again?
What's his name? Toto.
Toto. Let's see. I think it's Runricho Hagi, the guy that possesses people, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think his final defeat was a bit. Let's see. I felt like maybe he should have just been. I felt like he stayed around a bit too long, so I suppose that might be the one thing. Let's see. As for Future Diary, it's either kidnap Yuki just as Yuki was starting to get to like him. Let's see, and honestly, this felt like okay, it just made completely unsympathetic at this point. At this point, it's like okay, how do you expect me to see Yuki trusting after she's just kidnapped him again? Let's see, at this point, I wouldn't trust her, and neither should Yuki. I suppose, let's see, even though I was quite engaged to the final thing, it was a bit convoluted. I couldn't really understand what was going on, like how they fixed everything and stuff. So, granted, I might have just been rushing it because at the time I thought we'd be doing the podcast on Saturday that week, but hey. But yeah, I'd probably say Deadman Wonderland is the least offensive.
See, Deadman. I'm trying to think for Deadman. It's not to say it's flawless, but I don't find myself like, man, this is so bad. It destroyed the entire manga. It's just more like, well, it's not the best part, but I try to think of the worst, not the best part. So,
I wouldn't say story wise per se. I would say at times like the pacing would move a little too fast.
Yeah. The pacing is the worst part. I mean, I guess if you're not talking about story wise or the content wise, we could talk about like the structure. The pacing wise, it is weird because sometimes it goes fast, sometimes it goes too slow, and sometimes it's just right. And it's even weirder where certain chapters be like only 20 page or 30 page or break into two parts, like it's being a One Punch Man of his time. It's strange. Sometimes I'm confused what pacing we're going with it. So I guess that's one of the flaws of the structure of the series.
Yeah.
Future Diary, the ending, the final act, the ending itself is atrocious. It's a slap in the face beyond any slaps that you could probably get until his next work. That's how I feel. His next work, that big order piece of crap. But anyway,
I'm just taking. Let's see. I'm just taking a look at what he also wrote. Is that Big
he
Order?
wrote
Yeah.
big order. Yeah, that and the anime, largely it's the same, except for the ending because they had to create their own ending. But even that one has like some wacky days, not Days Ex Machina, as well as a plot twist that is just why.
Like,
It's like really, wow. So the plot twist with your diary, not the plot twist that this girl is from the other timeline, but what transfer to like any other character, it becomes overly convoluted. I don't understand the ending. I'm still trying to understand. I have a better time to understand the ending if I have a Gullion, but I don't have like. But this one, I don't know. It's because it's really convoluted. It's a massive plot hole, or it's the fact I just don't care anymore because the series has just went off the radar, and I don't even know what the hell was going on by the very last chapter. All I know is that killed herself, and then Yuki cried, and then he went to the next dimension forever with the other girl who ends up being a bad guy for some reason. She fought herself because she went to a different timeline. It's a freaking mess. It is downright. It is.
So, you would say the ending's the worst part on
The last act with the whole with the whole Yuki versus Yuno. It could have been normal if you just straight up have one-on-one match. It would have been like, oh man, this is messed up. Even though I kind of hate the character, but this is kind of messed up. So that could have been normal, but instead it's like the world is ending. My God, it's like everything I have done has no meaning because the world is ending. So it doesn't really matter. It would have been much more matter if I don't know if I'm the only person alive in the world. That would actually be a tragic ending. But I guess a lot of people don't know that kind of ending, no, do they? Anyway, but so I mean, hey, Evangelion did that. Oops. So there you go. They did that. At least they were smart enough, even though the ending is still pretty twisted. I mean, I get the message, but yeah. Anyway, with Future Diary, there's no message. There's just out of whack. It was just weird. The focus was weird. The focus changed into like we're gonna help Yuki. We're gonna help Yuno of this timeline, so that way the other timeline would not be suffering that timeline while I still suffer in my timeline because my timeline has been destroyed, has been Xenos by that yeah, or that, or if you want to be mathematical, you could try to think of logic of what if Thanos could do 2 snaps, what it means half plus half equal everyone. If you want to be that logical, you could be like that, like there you go. Oh, it killed everything. So there you go. But yeah, that's the arc. That's the final phase of in the nutshell. It's just convoluted mess. Timeline goes out of order. Which is ironic. Everything is just a large mess. Everybody's become everybody's villain or hero. I don't even know what the hell is going on. It's like multiple verses and multiple chaos. Everything goes straight to downhill mess. The ending, the very last chapter was just a mess.
We're gonna get to the ending.
Yeah, the ending is a freaking mess. Everything was a mess. It destroyed the manga as if it wasn't destroyed enough in prior to it. I mean, like it could have been just a pleasure, a guilty pleasure, fun ride. Which I guess I could say that's the only upside of that series because like it is meant to be like, hey, enjoyable ride, cool. Which it is. I'll give them that. But when it comes to like being invested with these characters and all that stuff, it's not long lasting. If anything, it's just a one and done. When you're done with the series, that's it. You're done. The only reason will be remembered is because I believe U.S. audience were just first introduced to Yandere characteristic by her.
Yeah,
because I don't know any of Yandere in other series that was firstly introduced to the American soil. I don't know what series. Dragon Ball don't have that. Tsundere they do, and they hate Chi-Chi for that, and Sakura for that, and so on for that. You don't get that in Fullmetal Alchemist. You don't get that in let's see.
My Hero.
Gundams. But no, My Hero is much later. You don't get that from Gundam series. You don't get that from Saint Seiya. You don't get from anything like something that transferred there. Sailor Moon. But when Mirai Nikki shows up, that's like the first introduced to Yandere. For all I know, maybe she is the first. I don't know. But the point is, I think that's one of the reasons why she's popularized or meme wise.
No, it just reminded me of one thing about, let's see, Sakura from Naruto. Let's see, you know when Minato asked if she was his girlfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Naruto's girlfriend. You know how Nahina fans wouldn't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you have a manga that asks it, you find shippers going like, "Yay, yay, it's confirmed!" Such as when Silver asked Juvia if she was Gray's girlfriend. But anyway, go on.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Well, but wait, you trying to say that's Yandere or that's just...
No, it's just, let's see, this is a double standards of the another double standards of the Nahina fan base.
Oh, well.
But we're not here to talk about Naruto. I just wanted to bring up that point because otherwise I'd forget it.
No, no.
Anyway.
I'm done. Just that entire last phase. Huh?
What would you say had the worst part of the two?
Worst part? Definitely me or Nikki. Because, like, God, what the hell? And it's just funny. I'm like, man, this character died and he pulled a fairy tale before fairy tale existed. So
anyways, I think it kind of reminds me of like Ruby and Sapphire's Pokemon manga adventures thing, where you had all these characters die, and then you had, let's see, Ruby reveal that he had a Celebrity, and it brought back everyone to life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know about that.
No, but that's no. But then apparently she became Superman as well. Even though she's probably the saving grace of the series, she became Superman because the god, Deus Ex Machina gave her that power. Which I guess I should have been prepared for that. I just not prepared for the damn timeline traveling, all that crazy, wacky job shit. And apparently he did the exact same shit in Big Order. Actually, he did. That's why it pissed me off the most.
So in other words, he learned nothing.
Pretty much. He probably don't even give a shit, for all I know.
Ooh, blimey. Well, let's see. That'll be interesting once Lucky Chi makes us read that manga, but anyway.
Don't do that, Lucky Chi. I'll quit it before you even do it.
I didn't even think about it until Blue Star brought it up. Probably not gonna do it.
That anime, I know the anime has a different ending, but it still has the same material and it still sucked.
It does. So I guess now we're going to my point. Well, I kind of echoed my point, Tom, while you were talking, but I'll just address it here. If we're looking structure-wise, the structure kind of fluctuates for Deadman Wonderland. Like what Sparta said, at times it's right, at times it's a little too fast, and at times it's kind of slow. It can work, but there are phases where I'm like, okay. So it's more so the structure than the story itself. Like the story itself, I'm like, all right, like I really like the story, but the structure of it at times, I'm like, okay, maybe I would structure that a little differently than how it's executed. But other than that, I'm like, all right, like that part's fine. So I'd say the worst part, just how it's structured at times. That's it. Now, Mirai Nikki, without talking about the ending, yeah, final act. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a mess. That's the best way I can put it. It is essentially a mess. After the whole thing happens, when they take care of everybody, it gets to a point where I'm like, huh, okay, that's a thing. Because you have all this stuff happening, and then the second you bring the time travel thing, and I'm like, wait, but how do you go here? I mean, people complain about Dragon Ball Super with the Future Trunks arc. I'm like, no. Future Trunks is almost really good in that sense compared to what Future Diary did. And it shows. It really, really shows. So the worser of the two, for worst moments, definitely Future Diary. And that's a category you don't want to win in. Overall, that's like the best and worst parts for both. Now we talk about the ending for both series, which is kind of ironic in a sense because both, like, the endings for both of them are almost similar, but the execution of it is what's vastly different between the two of them. So instead of going around in a circle, for the ending itself, let's just have like an open discussion about it. So, how do you guys feel about the endings for both Deadman Wonderland and Future Diary? Future Diary.
Shit. I can sum it up all with one word. Shit.
For both of the endings, or just Future Diary?
Future Diary.
Yeah, I feel about both.
The ending for Deadman, I thought it was good. I thought it was good. You get to see every characters, even some of the characters that didn't get a backstory. Mainly the one that eats everything. I don't think he ever got a backstory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, but everybody gets their ending. Everybody gets their ending end card. For a good page or half a page. So it's neat. I feel like I feel like we're missing some character though. I don't know if it's just me, but anyway, everybody gets the ending, and then life goes normal. Life goes on. Life
I
returns
think
normal
they
for
have a final
for the
fight
people.
handled for Deadman Wonderland. I thought was actually kind of interesting.
I think there's a sense of bittersweetness to like Deadman Wonderland's ending.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I in a sense, I guess that's where you can say, oh yeah, it is encouraging because yeah, despite the series is grim, there's an end of the tunnel of goodness. I mean, everybody that you know survive in terms of like the characters from the last arc. The only difference was Shinji lost his arm, but he's cool because he's gonna get strong with that, and he's gonna live on. Everybody's living on their life. Ganta living on his life to back to school, as well as pretty much together with Shiro, which she's smiling, and that's the end of it. It's all nice and charming. It's straightforward, but good enough. Mia Nikki, what the? Oh God, I don't understand what the hell she did in order to beat Yuki again. Like I thought Yuno became giant. I'm like, why did it look like she's a giant all of a sudden? It's like I found you after 10,000 years. I'm free. I'm like, what's going on? Wait, what? And it's like I'm Deus Ex Machina. I'm back again. We need some of that battle because I'm Deus Ex Machina. Oh, okay. I'm in the next dimension for this long time. But at least the other timeline, yeah, at least the other timeline has a better ending. So I guess in a sense, that is one way to get a good ending out of it. Oh, I got a good ending because I'm with Yuno again.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Even though this version of Yuno has no history with you.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I don't understand what the hell. I don't even understand how that even happened. We're supposed to believe that we have to use timeline number 3 as our favorite, our ending, which is already confusing enough. So pretty much everything goes on, life goes on. There's the pairing war lost in that version, but you go to the real version, the pairing war has won. It's like, what the hell am I even thinking right here?
Honestly, I think this is the only manga where I support the Yao shipping over the hetero shipping.
Well, the guy went with the glasses girl that he confessed the first time.
That's true.
Yeah, so that was the ending for that timeline. I know there was a spin-off one. I didn't get to read that, but I should just read it to get out of the way. Where it's supposed to take place after the ending for the of that timeline, aka the tolerable one. While the other one, the crazy one, is back with Yuki because they have nothing better to do in their life anymore. So there's that. The ending was just.
I suppose there were some positive things, such as like the 12th diary owner got to be a hero in the end, like he always wanted, when he captured like diary user number 3.
Yeah,
I guess
that's one thing.
I guess. Say. Yeah.
I wouldn't
what
say
was
it was perfect by any means, but that's one thing you could say.
That was the only good part. That and I guess getting flying babies. oops, I'm gonna transfer to God powers. So give me like 200 years. We'll probably have a new sequel, or a sequel with flying people because of me. My bad. And that cop is still as corny as hell. Well, he still rhymed with corny as hell. Seriously, what's wrong with that dude? The guy is humping hard.
Even though he's
Oh,
already has
him.
2 kids now, apparently.
Right?
2 flying kids, excuse you.
Flying kids.
Yep, we're transferring God power to them, so we have a sequel idea. Hear that, Boruto? You're not the only one that had great thoughts.
Nope.
So yeah, the ending sucked. The ending sucked. I can't get my money back or time back. I didn't spend a dime, but I can't get my time back. I can't get my time back. I blame myself for even considering, all because you people. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to blame you guys. I was gonna say because you people say, "Oh, it's the best thing ever. It's the greatest thing ever," and I fall for it. And it sucked. But I'm not gonna.
It happened to me too because you were like, "You should watch." I'm like, "All right, okay, I'll watch it." But I was like, "What?"
It's like, man, our standard has died, just like America has died. I'm kidding, but seriously, like I said, it was my choice to decided to read, and then yeah, and that's fun as I was hoping for.
See, I'd probably have to go with Deadman Wonderland's ending as well because, well, face it, at least it seemed to be much more properly concluded. And also, let's see, unlike Future Diaries, the consequences, all the past actions actually stuck with the series. Let's see, that I Am Our Girl is still dead, all the people that were killed are still dead, Deadman Wonderland still ruined. Let's see, Kenji, is it Senji or Kenji? Kenji still has an injured arm. Let's see, all that stuff. Let's see, everyone, and let's see, all the scars that are still there. But with everyone's ending, it shows that even though the scars are there, some of the other wounds are beginning to heal. They're moving on with their lives, and it seems to be implied that Kenji might just. Ganto may have just managed to save Shiro's life, though it may take a while before. Let's see, she gets back to normal or any some forms of normal yet. So there's at least so there's a hope of like a good ending for both, let's see, Ganta and Shiro. While with Future Diary, everything gets undone. Let's see, all the friends killed by Yuki and Yuno, they're back alive.
It's pretty much the Pain arc ending, only done worse.
Oh yeah, or Pokemon Adventures Ruby and Sapphire version.
That too.
Let's see. Though granted, that one didn't offend me so much, but yeah. Let's see. Though granted, I can't tell if that Yukio. That second. That dude that had a thing for Yuki. Is he still alive? Because I know he was just a creation of DS Machina. Was he shown in the final? I can't recall. He's dead. No, he's okay. I guess he's alive. All the diary holders, they're still alive. Wait, number 11 decides not to do his his diary game. But wait, doesn't DX Machina still need to find a successor before he dies?
Yeah, the ending is.
Let's see, did they completely leave that part out?
Whack job ending for
Also, how the heck did Yuno able to drag out, let's see, Yuki from the Second Earth timeline? I mean, cool, everyone's alive, and cool, all the events, let's see, Yuki did all the stuff that prevented them from all becoming crazy Future Diary serial killers. But let's see, but they're still about. It's like, But there's like nothing, but there's no consequences. Let's see, no one remembers a damn thing, except Yuno. But somehow, she's no longer psycho, because she's normal now. So yeah, I'd say, let's see, Deadman Wonderland, better ending.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have to say anything else but that, because... See, now, it's been a while since I've seen the anime, but I do believe the ending of the anime doesn't include the bit where there's another Yuno that reunites with Yuki. Like, I remember watching the anime like a long time ago, and I was like, huh, but I don't recall if it ends the same way like the manga did. So, or at least adding that specific part to it. But yeah, I kind of interjected my thoughts like between you guys, and I would have to say, yeah, like Deadman Wonderland is probably the better one. And also, like, if you really look at like the final 2 pages, like when he asks Ashiro about the song, and when you think about it, like throughout the whole story, that sentence holds a lot of weight to it, to like their relationship. And I don't want to say it's impactful, but it does hold weight when you consider what they've gone through and you consider what their past has been. And yeah, so I would say ending wise, yeah, Deadman Wonderland takes the cake for this one. Which brings us over to the questions. Well, authors. Which is the better series? I think we're pretty much in agreement that it's Deadman Wonderland.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the author for Future Diary just don't care and just want to just mess around with people's head for the amusement.
That's what I thought.
I mean, maybe that's why. If that's the case, fine. So be it. Whatever. I mean, if for enjoyable ride, it's enjoyable ride because, like I said, it is enjoyable when you one time read. But when you try to think about the series in depth, it's gonna hurt your brain. It's best to just throw that brain off the field. that's how I see it. I mean, like, I don't know if he ever wrote a serious work before. I only know he does 2. Maybe that's the only 2 for I know. But I just know Future Diary was the only one I follow along. I watched the anime for Big Order. It was shit. Future Diary, only know the monk.
Wow,
the manga.
It's bad when Full Life is using the S word.
I talk about it. I talk about it not too thoroughly, but good enough in my worst anime of 2016 or 17. I think it was one of those 2 years. No, it was 16 because I remember 17 was that piece of crap anime too. Oh god. I mean, it had an awesome opening song. This is the end, but that's about it.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the mangaka just don't give a crap and just want to just have fun with it, which fine, that's fine. But it's kind of like Hollywood movie in certain case. Back in the days, Hollywood movies could do anything they want and that'd be fine. And you can still do that, technically speaking. You can still draw a box office, but we kind of want to have a smart film with it nowadays. Not to say we got to give us like some Oscar worthy, but you got to give us a little bit more mindful about it. So in compare, I guess you could say Deadman Wonderland is like that. Whereas Future Diary, I feel like it could have been ambitious, but maybe the mangaka didn't want to go that ambitious, so he just decided, I'm just gonna take it just as a fun route. But like, hey, look, this stuff is happening. Hey, look, he has another trouble. Hey, look, he trusts a friend and he got betrayed. What he's gonna do? So that's the case. So it's just a ride. But Deadman Wonderland felt more structured, despite the pacing issues in certain cases. But it still felt like it had more meaning to it. And yeah, there's some other
sense,
right? And yeah, there are other flaws, but again, I felt like it was just a more of a solid work in compare. Where Future Diary just feels like it's there for amusement, not there for like something to recollect, unless you really want to look for more meme worthy thing, and that's about it. Other than that, I just feel that Deadman was more ambitious in compare. Whereas I still question if Future Diary was meant to be a parody of something. It could be a parody for all I know, but it still won't be as it won't be like, I mean, it will help a little, sure, but it still won't be like, oh man, it becomes a masterpiece. It would just become like, all right, it's a little bit tolerable because that's your direction that you always went for. But that's the thing I could say for Future Diary and the mangaka himself.
Better artist.
Ooh, Han, let me just take it. Let me just get both them. Let me just get both their manga chapters for first page of each of their chapters for me, because it's been a while since I've seen their art styles.
You said you see the best art.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I thought Deadman Wonderland had a better art.
That's what
especially in the later chapters. The later chapters, he improved a lot, and the double page spreads because very detailed and very noteworthy design. Like it had a lot more impact. I know the Mirai Nikki does improve over time as well, and there was despite my hatred on the final phase. The final phase does have one of the better artwork because he probably got better at it. So it was like, oh, look at that. The artwork got cleaner, looks nicer, got a better feel, got a better mood. But Deadman Wonderland just feels like it has improved so much. It gives you the more impact feeling where the emotions and the characters, like it has a stronger expression, excuse me. It has a stronger expression that leaves you impressed with his attendant tone and emotions. That's the way I feel it. So I'll go with Deadman Wonderland for that.
Yeah, for me, I think.
go for that too.
Let's see, for artwork, let's see, from the looks of it, let's see, I think Future Diary looks more like your standard kind of drawn manga, I think, in a sense. Let's see, while Deadman Wonderland has this bit more unique design to it.
Yeah.
Particularly like what For Life says, the action pages are really good, especially the double ones. Let's see. Not to mention the designs are a lot more creative, but then again, I think partly because Future Diary is set in like more worlds like ours. The only difference is you have a godlike being like Deus Ex Machina. Though, granted, I find Deadman Wonderland's designs a lot more impressive. So yeah, I'd probably say, in terms of like setting, designs, and action pieces, I'd probably give it to Deadman Wonderland.
That's exactly what I would say too. And in that respect, I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, I was gonna side with Deadman Wonderland anyway because, like I said, like the artwork looks, it's very sharp and very detailed, but it gets even more so, like towards like the later half of the series, and it really shows too. And especially, I don't know if you guys read, I don't know if you guys have read the Manga's next series, which I think is Smoking Parade. Like that series also, there's like I wouldn't say like a huge progression, but there's definitely a notice between how the art style was in Deadman Wonderland compared to that series. That's one thing I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ongoing currently, so there's that. But yeah, ultimately, I would say Deadman Wonderland gets the better artist route too. Better writer, I think we kind of discussed that with the better series, so that kind of goes hand in hand with that. So, secret question now, because we usually do it like this. What world would you rather be a part of?
Well, let's see. To be realistically, I'd probably be in Future Diary, partly because it's more, let's see, realistic to our world, and you have less psychos, or like those blood users that could kill you. The only downside is that, let's see, the world could end up being destroyed. No, on the other hand, let's see, Deadman Wonderworld is also similar to our world. The only difference is you have like those blood abilities, and they get loose. You could get killed. Let's see, but I suppose perhaps maybe the Deadman Wonderworld would be safer if you just stay away from, let's see, Japan. Let's see. Or at least around the Deadman Wonderland, let's see, area. While with Future Diary, you have to rely on, let's see,
Your surroundings.
Let's see, which one of the diary users does not becomes God. So, in some ways, you could argue, on the surface, Future Diary is safer, but in the end, maybe Deadman Wonderland might be because there's no godlike being that you have to rely on to keep the world in balance.
I guess Deadman Wonderland, at least you could make a living out of there. It sucks, but the fact that the other world is literally a time bomb, because why not? I think because Deus Ex Machina is dying or some shit like that.
That's what I think.
I don't know. It was like, really now? We're going to blow up the entire world? And next you're going to tell me Godzilla could destroy the world because he was just nuclear, which that's actually a plot for the record. That's kind of funny in hindsight. Like, huh, so he's a nuke. Okay. Sounds weird. I mean, it's logical, but it just sounds funny. Just imagine your head like, okay, he's a bomb plus Godzilla equal boom. It just looks funny when you think in your head like, okay, a little weird, but is this to find a movie before they decided to do 2000? But anyway, that's a different topic. So Deadman Wonderland I would pick because, hey, in Future Diary there's no chance and there's no hope. You practically are going to die because why not? Which is weird, but
Let's see, the only way you survive is like an alternative history.
that's the Trunks logic, I guess. Multiverse
logic for movies. Or is that too? Yeah, just for that, I'm gonna give it to Deadman because at least you won't have some weird time paradox going on. Like there's like, see that, and it's like what Sparta said. Be a ticking time bomb. Like you wouldn't be safe wherever you are. Like you could be out at the movies, and next thing you know, you get blown up. That could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. You, I don't know, go to a race. So you're pretty much have a no-win situation there. Whereas with Deadman Wonderland, at least you're in one particular area, but you know the other area is safe. So I would rather say I'll take my chance with Deadman because no ticking time bomb, no who's going to be God, none of that. It's just simple premise. You're there. Your purpose is just to try to get out alive as best as possible. Which, hey, if that's the case, then cool. That's all I would need. So yeah, that's the Manga Wars podcast. I think overall, Deadman Wonderland kind of had like a landslide victory, which we haven't had one of those in a while. Yeah, a good while actually. Now that I think about it.
Let's see. We had one. It was for the most part, it was a landslide win for, let's see, Opat's Hunter, but that's mostly because all three of us feel so betrayed by Naruto at that point.
Yeah, it was a landslide with Naruto. Actually, it was.
That's also with Yu Hakusho against Bleach.
Yeah, it was a landslide with that. Pandora Hearts versus Full Metal Alchemist was a tie. I remember that one. We had Silent Voice versus Orange. And for the most part, Silent Voice won that. We had the two canceled series.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely been a while since we've had one of those. And yeah, so ultimately, Deadman Wonderland wins this round in particular for Manga Wars. And before we close this off, this is another thing for all you new viewers out there. What we usually do is by the end of each Manga Wars, we announce what the next one's going to be. Which I'm sure these two are probably wondering, okay, so what's the next Manga Wars that I have planned? And the next Manga Wars is going to be, drum roll please, Red Sprite versus Demon's Plan.
Red Sprite versus Demon's Plan.
Oh my goodness. This is gonna be fun.
It is.
Don't worry, Blue Star. You could catch up very quick. But this is gonna be a great battle. One that was very skeptical, and they were rightfully skeptical because what happened at the end. And the other one was overhyped before it even gets to the hype level, which is saying something. And that one was actually trying to be the one that's supposed to kill off Promised Neverland, even though I was more faithful to Promised Neverland. And look what happened now. But whatever. It's cool. But yeah, that should be a fun battle.
That should be interesting. And yeah, you guys, that is pretty much it for this particular Manga Wars episode. Sparta BlueStar, it was really great having you guys on board again after what felt like quite a long time since the last time we've done one of these.
It was great to be back, even after like 2 months or even more. But shoot, it feels good to be back here. Great to be a guest again.
It feels good to be back as well because you guys haven't been talking to me in weeks.
Nobody want to hear my thoughts anymore.
Sorry, my two best friends from America.
There's a best friend forever, best friend forever thing. But yeah, I mean, hey, we're all busy in our life.
Yeah.
One of us were working on a novel, one of us working on the exams, one of us just had a hard work scheduling, and so on. So, it's not easy.
Nope.
I mean, if we just throw our work away and just like live with YouTube, maybe it'll be much easier, but if we can't do that.
No, because unfortunately we do not have enough viewers for that.
If I could instantly trade off with not trade, maybe more like just instantly get the exact same view or more like subscriber as PewDiePie, then I'll drop my job. It's like, oh, okay, I got 1 billion. Cool.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
No. So, but it's not like I don't mind not being part of like YouTube in terms of like, hey, that's my business. That's just not me.
Nah,
I mean, if it ever comes down to that, which probably never, sure, why not make a lot of new videos and put more effort to it? But again, when you have a lot of scheduling in your life, it's kind of hard to try to prioritize to one thing over others, especially if your main job or your main life isn't in YouTube. It's just in general. So
that's just how it goes. But aside from that, guys, that is pretty much it. I'm LuckyG7.
I'm BlueStarSaber.
Sparda3g.
And we will catch you guys next time for Red Sprite versus Demon's Plan. Oh, that's going to be fun.